was still very much so a McLaren-dominated weekend. It was still very much so the papaya race to lose. Even though Andrea Stella was a bit surprised by the performance, after it was all said and done, the McLarens dusted the competition in Miami. They had ridiculous race pace, finishing within about 4 seconds of each other. But the next closest constructor, 33 seconds in the rear view mirror, Mercedes of George Russell finishing. It took a while. I'll just put it like that. It took a while for us to finally see George Russell cross the finish line, with Max Verstappen just 2.5 seconds behind him. McLaren, look, I'm going to chalk it up. Honestly, they developed the hell out of this car. They finish out this regulation. They've got a car that treats the tires insanely well. They manage the balance incredibly well, working with their aerodynamic efficiency from beginning to end. This car was hooked up, ready to go, souped, and at peak performance for Miami. To nab a 1-2 in such drastic fashion. The biggest win, if I'm not mistaken, Lando Norris had last year was like 22 seconds. Both of the drivers for the McLarens finishing over 30 seconds, almost 30 seconds ahead anyway of the Mercedes behind. They're 105 points currently ahead of Mercedes after 6 rounds. And look, I know at the end of it all, this is still super early in the season. We've still got a ton of racing to go. Developments are going to be coming from all across the grid, but having that much of a lead, having those kind of performances to bank are going to make holding a Constructors' Championship that much easier. If you're Oscar Piastri or if you're Lando Norris trying to fight for a Drivers' Championship, having this much of a buffer is certainly going to help things down the road as well. Ask Max Verstappen last year. The car went from first to third place very quickly, but being able to hold on to that Drivers' Championship, it made all the difference. Those early season performances. Look, the battle for the championship at this point, it looks very much so in McLaren's hand. It is McLaren's constructors to lose. As far as the Drivers' Championship is concerned, I think we're still going to see some developments coming. Red Bull seem very keen to try to make this another Drivers' Championship for Max Verstappen this season. They're going to put a lot of work and a lot of effort into this current regulation, a lot of ambiguity around what it's going to look like next year as they begin their Ford partnership. They're building their own power units, kind of a 70-30 situation where it's 70% Red Bull, 30% Ford as far as that partnership is concerned to build their power units. A lot has been said so far about what this next regulation looks like from a power unit perspective, but I would not be expecting Red Bull to be leading the field 100%, beating the brakes off of everybody else to start this next regulation. So Red Bull are trying to put everything they possibly can to keeping Max Verstappen in this championship this year. And McLaren are going to have to do their work. If you're Oscar Piastri or Lando Norris, going to have to put in a lot of work to just keep the Dutchman at bay. But right now, it still very much so looks like if we continue this trajectory, it's Lando Norris versus Oscar Piastri. Winner takes all. Who wants it more? And within this conversation, we can have it every single week. Oscar Piastri, I still see this going Oscar Piastri's way through the full course of the season. Piastri grabbing the top step 4 times this season in feature races. He's displayed such strong racecraft in his battles with Max Verstappen, in his battles alongside Lando Norris, in his battles against the other members of the field. He closed the gap to Norris in qualifying over these last, 2+ years. As far as just general qualifying pace, it can now go either way. And on the days where it goes Oscar's way, on the qualifying sessions where it's gone Oscar's way, he hasn't squandered those opportunities. He's so much more savvy in my eyes. He's better defending. He's better at overtaking. And on track, Norris has just not shown that he can clutch up when asked so far this year with 2 debatable wins. Let's just be completely frank. So Piastri's wins, in my eyes, are a lot less negotiable, a lot less debatable, a lot more definitive. Right now, Lando Norris still finding himself making mistakes, still finding himself being caught out, still being, shown the door by a Max Verstappen. Oscar Piastri jumping whoever's sitting in P1, taking them all the way to turn 1 and making them work for it. And so far, that calm, cool demeanor is carrying him quite a long way.